Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to episode 43 of Ray and Benny Talk Sports, the Troy Polamalu edition.
We're getting to Willis next, 52.
Hey, 44, Tom Rathman. Don't forget.
I don't have one of those jerseys, though. So.
Oh, you got a few days, so you better get online. While you're online, friends and neighbors, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us to grow the channel, get the word out. Benny, where can they find us on social media, bro?
Bro, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Good old TikTok.
Good old.
We finally got some NFL news to cover with the big Baker Mayfield trade. We'll get to that. Khari Jones has unfortunately been let go by the Montreal Alouettes. We'll talk about that. We got some shout-outs, but let's start out with our Week 5 CFL picks. We have 3 games this week. Thank you, CFL schedule makers. Let's start off with the Battle of Alberta, Stamps visiting Elks. How do you see this game going?
Pretty much the same as the last time that these two teams met. Yeah. Calgary's just had a bye week. They had some time to rest up. Bo Levi, has the injured foot, practiced in full, so he seems like he's good to go. So that doesn't seem to be bothering him. Mm-hmm. I know Edmonton's coming off that huge win against Hamilton. So
huge. He was.
Yeah.
That was a big monkey off their back. It was. Yeah.
It was, but I'm making it bigger than what it actually was.
Yeah.
But I don't expect very much out of Edmonton in this game. Trey Ford started last game against Hamilton. He did what he had to do to get the win. Nothing spectacular or anything like that. I think you'll have a harder time with Calgary, playing that game. So I'm going with the Calgary way, especially if Bo Levi keeps up what he's been doing and healthy. I think they'll chew up Edmonton's D. Yeah,
Calgary is second in the league in scoring. Edmonton is averaging less than 20 points a game. Calgary is second in the league in yards per game. Edmonton, they're last. They're last. Edmonton is horrible against the run. Kadeem Carey is one of the best backs in the league. He'll probably have a huge game. One opportunity that Edmonton have would be Calgary is not very good at creating pressure on the QB. So that might give Trey Ford, a young QB, some time to see his reads or else get on the run and really keep the Calgary off balance with his legs, because he was good with his legs. And I don't know, Edmonton's playing with a limited playbook on offense, because Khari Jones himself said that he's going to keep it basic and simple and try not to confuse Trey Ford, the rookie. Yeah. So with all that, go ahead, bro.
And no James Wilder, right? I think he's still out, so shoulder injury or whatever, so he's still on the injured list. So you don't have that veteran presence to lean on.
Yeah.
Also in the backfield for them. And like you said, they've given up 409 yards average on D. So, and that's crazy for a Khari Jones D. And I know they keep, they're bringing guys in, sending guys out. Like they're just all over the place with their roster still. So yeah. I think it'll be a tough time coming. Plus Calgary's also getting Trey Robertson back.
Let's also acknowledge that the Elks have not won in their stadium since October 12th, 2019.
Good God, that's a long time. I will give him credit, Victor Cooey. Fans 12 and under getting in for free.
That's how you get the young kids in the stadium.
So good on them for that. Yeah. So hopefully that will bump those numbers up, and then hopefully that will also then get some of these fans to keep bugging their parents, keep bringing them to games, and hopefully and eventually in a few years they're still going to games on their own or with their buddies or whatever. So that's a good initiative by Victor Cooey.
Absolutely. And with all that said, I'm going to take Edmonton in the upset at home.
What? Wow.
Yeah, boy. I'm going to just take him riding that momentum. Trey Ford, not a lot of tape on him. Calgary has had the week off. So, yeah, Bo Levi Mitchell has had a chance to heal. But maybe at the same time, it's very early to have that bye for a team like Calgary who's still trying to gel and get Bo Levi Mitchell back in the game. So I'm going to take Edmonton at home with the momentum.
All right. You're probably the only one.
I am the only one, according to CFL.ca.
Yeah.
But that's a website who kept showing that touchdown by Brandon Banks as robbery. Yeah, no kidding, it was robbery. It was stolen. You going to really profile that on your social media? Get out of here laughing at the refs. So, yeah, I'm going to take Edmonton at home. Let's talk about Friday Night Football. RedBlacks, Roughriders versus Roughriders. Who you got in that one, bro? What? I missed that. I'm sorry. I get it. People think it's stupid that we had two Roughrider teams, but I do miss it.
Yeah, they should go back to it.
I wish.
See what happens.
Don't the Glebermans still own the name? Is it Gleberman?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, are they still around? No, they would have been were they the Renegades?
Well, what was that? Horn Chen, I think, was doing it. I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah.
Man, I can't remember people I meet like 4 hours ago, but I can remember Horn Chen. Anyways, let's talk about RedBlacks.
That guy was another classic Ottawa owner. Good God.
But they got good ownership now. So let's talk about them now. How do you see this one going on in Regina?
Yeah, in Regina. I'm going to lean towards Saskatchewan just because it is in Regina. If Ottawa was at home, I'd probably lean that way. I still don't know what's coming out of Lapo and all his calls. Is Mazzoli going to be the Mazzoli from the Bomber games and not the Mazzoli of last week?
Yeah, he didn't look too good.
William Powell, obviously, he's going to look to prove something against Saskatchewan or bring it against his old team. But, the defense is going to have to be very good for Ottawa here. They forced 3 turnovers last week. Mazzoli's probably going to be on the run a little bit. I know Ottawa's O-line is not that bad. Actually, they're decent, but Saskatchewan's pass rush has been
21
pretty good.
Sacks. 21 sacks.
Yeah. 5 turnovers last week, too, against Montreal they caused. So
that's insane.
But, again, what Cody Fajardo are we going to get? Mm-hmm. Is he going to be good right from the start, or is he only going to show up in the third or fourth quarter? We know Ottawa, if they got it going. I mean, Mazzoli wasn't great, but they still put up 31 points last week. I know it wasn't all offense or whatever, but I think they'll be able to possibly move the ball. Ottawa can, but can they actually get some touchdowns, which they've lacked? I think Mazzoli only has thrown for 1 touchdown so far this year.
Not against this defense. And not in Saskatchewan.
In Saskatchewan, yeah.
No, I'm taking Saskatchewan to win at home. Also, Ottawa has like 4 or 5 DBs that are pretty much out for the next game. So they're probably one injury away from this being an absolute disaster where Saskatchewan and Fajardo does go nuts and keeps growing on that momentum from last week. Because like you said, they can force turnovers. Like they got 14, 17 points off of 3 turnovers last week.
Yeah.
But man, with that injury and going into Saskatchewan, and like you said, Paul LaPolice hasn't been able to solidify that offense yet.
No, and not even just the offense, his whole coaching decisions. Yeah, I can't remember. I meant to write it down, but his coaching record is actually pretty terrible. Like head coaching record is pretty terrible. When he led the Bombers and all that, he's never really won a lot of games. No. And these mistakes that he used to make in the past, he's still making them. And Ottawa went and they loaded up. They went after Mazzoli. They went after guys on their O-line. They went after every position almost, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to be expecting a little bit more. They're not going to be expecting to go 0-4. I'm thinking if Lapo doesn't win this week, he may be the next one out the door.
I think that would be a mistake. They have to let that guy grow with the roster that he has. And I think he is growing as a head coach. And you have time in the East. But it's just, I wouldn't agree with that decision.
It's like a Montreal thing. You got a new GM in Ottawa now, right? He didn't get to pick his coach. So he may be quick to pull the trigger more so if there is the GM and coach still from last year kind of thing, right? Yeah. So he may be looking at it and going, okay, you know what, I got to fix this. You're also running out of time, though. I mean, yeah, you're only a game out of first, but you're running out of time for that third playoff position, right? Mm-hmm. The more the West keeps winning, that third playoff position in the East is going to disappear as well. There's going to, one of these teams in the West can clinch a playoff spot, if they get 8 wins. Yeah. How terrible is that?
That's very bad Eastern Division.
That's bad for the CFL altogether, man. Someone is going to clinch a playoff spot. So
yeah, looking good for Ottawa this week.
No, and then again, their D is not actually very good against run. They give up over 100 yards a game. And Jamal Morrow, sorry, I'm going to say Joe Morrow, good old Winnipeg Jet. Hey. Jamal Morrow, he's been on its hair so far, so he could have another heyday this week.
Yeah. I couldn't take out all with confidence at all. On the road? No, bro. Let's talk about the third and final game of the CFL schedule. Thank you, CFL schedule makers. Bombers versus Lions. Man, I've been getting a bit of heat online for taking the BC Lions at number 1, but I think they'll prove why they are this week.
I think so too, but I'd rather have seen this matchup in not a short week for the Bombers.
Yeah.
But
And
I mean,
without
it's the way things go. And if they take this matchup, BC, then the Bombers will just have to prove it in the next 1 or 2 matches. I'm assuming, or maybe they only play them one more time.
yeah, it's like good news that Lucky Whitehead is looking maybe doubtful, maybe out. He sat last couple practices, but other than that, it's the odds are looking heavily into the Bombers' favor right now. That BCD looks decent. Like they let Ottawa back into the talking about Ottawa. They look good coming back into the game against BC, but man, Nathan Rourke, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, this is the game that Zach Collaros and the offense has to wake up. You can't, especially coming off a short week, the D may not be able to play as well as they do and keep the points down to a minimum. They've lost Kyrie Wilson.
Oh.
So you got Clemens coming in there. He did all right.
Yeah.
But man, did he get blown up by Harris on that one run?
And they're gonna be playing on that short week, so he's got a lot to digest. BC has the best pass defense, allowing like 200 yards. They have the best run defense, allowing just over 60 yards. So things aren't looking too good for Collaros and Oliveira and Augustine right now. Sorry to be honest, Bomber Nation. I love my Bombers, but that's the truth.
Yeah, they got to be able to spread that field. These short passes, swing passes aren't going to work when BC or any team is crowding that line of scrimmage because they know the Bombers aren't going downfield enough.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Swing passes to McRae, the Gennari and Grant sweeps, a couple of them worked here and there, but for the most part, they were failures, right? So you got to see this offense pick it up a bit.
Go deep. Why aren't they going to Dalton Schoen deep? It's worked on a couple of occasions. Why are they holding back on that? At least to get the DBs back. At least to get the linebackers back a bit or try an all-out blitz and open stuff underneath. Then you can do the screens. Like, they have no deep threat right now consistently.
No, exactly. And the thing is, they're not also even going downfield consistently. The running game's obviously gone nowhere. The O-line's kind of struggling so far.
Buck
decent in pass protection, but not good in opening up holes, right? So
yeah,
I mean, this would be a battle. I don't see BC blowing the Bombers out or anything, but if the Bombers, who have gotten by the skin of their teeth in the last few weeks, this is where probably that bubble kind of bursts on them this week.
Yeah, perfect storm, as they say, perfect storm, and they got to find a way BC, to. They got to. Yeah, that's 2 time zones away.
Yeah,
2 time zones away. And they have to find a way to contain James Butler. Like, that guy went for 122 touchdowns last week as well.
Yeah.
That's a lot on their plate. I can see James Butler tiring out that defense to where, it could be close for the first half, 3 quarters, and then just the fatigue kicks in, the time zone kicks in. And, it's one of those boxing fights where one fighter can't last till the end.
Yeah, well, the Bomber D was on the field quite a bit in that second half on Monday, right? So,
oh my gosh,
you're only coming off a few days rest really to kind of recuperate from that. So,
are the Bombers leading the league in punting?
They could be.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of kicking, though, give him some credit, man. He's actually done well, and he had a good game again, and his punting has been pretty good.
Sure, you gotta give him credit. I've been preaching patience with this dude, man. I just said I talked about kicking. I won't talk about it no more because I don't want to jinx anything. But patience, and he's leading the league in punting as well, I think.
Yeah, he could be
at least net.
Yeah, he's done pretty well. Hopefully he keeps it going, and special teams keeps it going really.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Gennari and Grant finally break one though.
Oh, it doesn't feel like he's going to break one soon. It's like, you're just fighting to get through, and I hope so. But this week is too much to overcome in BC. So
I'm assuming we're both picking BC then for the win here.
I'm picking BC for sure. Are you?
I am as well. I hope we're both wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too. I hope we're both wrong. I hope I'm wrong too. Any which way. Let's talk about a former Blue Bomber legend who's on his way to the Ring of Honor for his amazing years playing quarterback. Khari Jones, unfortunately, was let go from Montreal. Kind of saw it coming.
We saw it coming, but we figured he'd get more time.
I don't agree with it, but
than what he got, and the timing of it's kind of weird because Montreal played last week. They're on a bye,
yeah.
But why wait this late into the week? But we all saw it. Danny Machocha, right? Am I saying that right?
Give me a break.
You knew at some point he was going to pull the trigger, and he was just waiting for it. And
yeah,
you can't leave Khari for another week, and then if Khari gets a win, and then you can't do it after that, right? So this was his time to do it and get back, get out there. It's disappointing. I mean, Khari's done well the few years that he's been there.
Yeah.
You're 4 games into the season. It's way too early, man.
Yeah, and they haven't been drafting really, really well lately. And I don't know who's the offensive coordinator now. Anthony Calvillo.
Is he taking over the role because he was a quarterback coach, right?
Because this seems like a pure, they're only not putting him as coach right now because he's probably going to get slammed the rest of the way because his team is not good enough. But they're grooming him. He's going to be the next coach, I believe, coming next year. And Danny Machocha, whatever, is going to take most of the brunt of them losing the rest of the way. Because they just don't have the roster to compete. Definitely not in the West against Western teams. And I don't know. I think Khari was a lame duck. I think this team had to grow with Khari, and I think they had to draft better. And they didn't. So I'm disappointed in this move, Montreal. I think this was consistency, and they messed it up. So whatever.
I agree with you on that. I didn't want to see him go.
Sometimes you have to take the good with, like Mike O'Shea did not win games at the very beginning. If I want to go to the NFL route, Jimmy Johnson didn't win games at the very beginning. You got to start somewhere. And Khari just seemed like the good fit, and I don't know.
But he was showing that he was winning games. I mean, they won games. They made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he was getting there, and he was forced into the job a little bit when he got hired, and he did a great job with it. So I definitely see him getting another job somewhere else at some point, probably by next season or whatever. But that's an unfortunate situation for him, probably for the best for him anyways in that situation. Obviously no one wants to get fired, but
yeah,
it might be work out better for him.
They put a quick situation out there for me. The offensive production in Winnipeg has been very low. Not suggesting they fire Buck Pierce and bring in Khari, but maybe an offensive consultant.
Could be. I don't see anything like that happening this year unless it keeps going down that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing at some point for Khari. But does Khari want to do that at this point, or is he looking for another head coaching job anyways?
Well, I guess he'd have to probably not take his pay in Montreal.
Yeah.
As a head coach, just to sit back and relax to be an offensive consultant. But just saying, I don't know. I'm lost for words at what Buck Pierce is doing with the offense right now.
We are too. They started off slow last year. They got it together. So we'll see if that happens this year. They got a bye coming up after their BC game. So we'll see. But yeah, that going back to the Bombers again, that offense needs to pick it up for sure.
I just talked about the NFL and the consistency of Jimmy Johnson. Let's talk about an organization who's lacked consistency since forever. Baker Mayfield has been traded from the Browns to the Carolina Panthers. The Browns have nobody other than Jacoby Brissett now. And good for the Panthers, I think.
Yeah, well, good for Baker. He finally got out of that situation, and he gets a new start, and we'll see if he can do better in Carolina. I mean, he wasn't terrible in Cleveland. No. Last year he was playing with all kinds of injuries. He was putting his body on the line, so maybe a little bit too much. Maybe he should have been
trying hard
himself. Yeah, trying too hard.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting situation in Carolina, who they end up going with. Does Sam Darnold stick around? They're paying a lot of money for those quarterbacks. So
yeah. No,
he's good for Baker. I think he's in a way better situation. Cleveland, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, at some point, Deshaun Watson's getting suspended.
Yeah, Prison Mike, you got to look at this. You got to look at this franchise, Prison Mike. Prison Mike. Oh,
Matt, if he hasn't given up on them yet, he's never given up.
No, that's why I admire Prison Mike. He won't give up on the Browns. Prison Never. Mike is Browns until he's in the ground.
Yeah.
But whoa, Prison Mike, I'm feeling bad for you. Like Deshaun Watson's looking at a 1-year suspension at least. Is the feeling?
It's interesting. Does Cleveland know more than what has been announced? What's going on? Because why would they trade Baker at this point unless they know for sure maybe what Watson's facing, and maybe it's not going to be a full year? Because are you really going with Brissett?
Because
as your quarterback this year?
As each day goes on, his value lessens. There's no way that Baker Mayfield, in regards to his take, his value is going to increase more for the Browns of what they're going to get. Like, they're lucky to get a 5th conditional 4th. That's pretty good. to get a guy who wants to get out of there, and he's a top 20 QB?
Yeah.
Why not?
Jimmy's still out there.
Oh, Jimmy. Are we going to talk about Jimmy? You want to talk about Jimmy? Should we save that for around draft time when Jimmy might be dealt?
Draft time. Draft is already over.
Sorry. Camp time. Sorry.
We'll talk about it when a top QB goes down with an injury, and then we'll see if Jimmy gets picked up. Maybe Cleveland will pick him up if Watson actually gets suspended for a year.
That would make sense.
But
that would make sense. So
somebody take him, please. Dude's gonna he's gonna beat out Lance in camp, and he's gonna be the starter.
But this will be a growing process for Mayfield. He doesn't have such a good roster. It's not bad. You got McCaffrey, you got DJ Moore.
They got a good offense. They got some good receivers: Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, McCaffrey. Yeah. If they can stay healthy,
just drafted the left tackle.
Yeah,
I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry, friends and neighbors, but yeah. So he's in a better situation now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We'll see.
Better-ish.
I love that term, ish. Shout outs for this week. You want to go first?
Sure.
What's your shout out?
I'm a shout out Fred Reed and Gavin Walls, who were inducted into the Winnipeg Blue Bomber Hall of Fame.
Shout out. And I love Fred Reed. Fast Freddie Reed.
260 yards against BC that time.
Yes, I remember listening to that. I was in Beaujeu chilling with a friend, and I was listening to that late at night.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Wow.
It was an amazing game, man. He just kept going, and it was like unstoppable.
Yeah. And Gavin Walls is a great pass rusher. Number 98?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
There we go. Shout out to them. Shout out for me to Rainbow Stage. It's very, rare that the cross sections of my life of sport and theater cross. But Rainbow Stage is doing a great show called The Hockey Sweater, and they're doing it under the dome. It's about that cool story. You did it in elementary, right?
Yeah.
About the kid who wanted a Canadiens jersey, but then he got a Leafs jersey in the mail from Mr. Eaton's, and he wrote a letter to him. Yep.
I always mix that up. I always think it's the other way around.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's the Leafs. They wanted a Canadian jersey, but I got a Leafs jersey.
Yeah.
So that was made into a musical. So shout out to them. Go check it out. The show's going until July 17th. Special shout out to the director, Carson Natras, and my good homegirl, Rochelle Kives, who's a star in the show. Benny, you got anything to say to the people?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give out one more shout out, actually.
Yeah, man. We got time.
Because I missed this totally, but to Mike Greer, new Sharks GM, who became the first black GM in the NHL. Right on. Congrats to him. Shout out to him for getting that.
Let's go NHL. Also, Kaylee Wickenheiser, then. Let's talk about assistant GM in Toronto, and also the assistant GM in New Jersey, her name just, I don't have it right here with me, but thank you for bringing that up. Good job, NHL.
Yeah,
we rag on that culture. Yeah, exactly. We rag on that culture. So it's good to see these steps being made, even though these steps could have been made 20 years ago, but it's good that these steps are being made. Now, Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends and neighbors?
You know what? Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow, and have a good weekend.
Yeah, and this next quote is a shout out to the refereeing in the Toronto-Winnipeg game. And in the famous words of Bill Shankly, the trouble with referees is that they know the rules, but they do not know the game. Be kind, be safe, help each other out. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.